All right, friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, and we continue our circuit testing out the new different kingdoms, or the new augmented kingdoms with Bannerlord 1.32. There are changes to the Empire, especially to Sturgia, significantly to Britannia, and we will continue to cover those. Heavy cavalry is different. Now the Legionary and Manavlons throw their pylons. So let's go ahead and jump into some battles here today, and we're going to start off against Valandia. Now, if you're not familiar with this this series, the format, we're basically trying different battles, almost random. I'm sort of trying to click different buttons and give us a different troop composition, and we're essentially going to organically home in on what is a good army composition for the Imperials. Now, all along the way, we will continue to talk about the Imperials, some of their pros and cons, and this may be a two-part series because the Imperials are complicated, and I also want to do village battles and maybe even a few sieges because, of course, that should fit into the equation as well. Now, both sides have tier 3 through 6 units, that way equal quality units on the battlefield, and we're going to start off outnumbered by about 20 or 25%. We'll increase that number if we're just rolling through everything. Now, just to show you that this is obviously a difficult challenge, we will blaze through a very quick intro battle here with the sergeant in charge, and it's usually an opportunity for 20 seconds of comedy hour here as we're going to try to hold this narrow pass. You know, this narrow pass that looks like it's about 4 or 5 kilometers wide. It would be narrow if we had an army of Godzilla, but it's not very narrow here. And I can't tell what they're doing. Now, the horse archers, I can see what they're doing. They are suiciding. You can already hear them routing. We can't stop them as they ran in and got shot to pieces by a crossbow. Now, evidently, we're charging. Headlong, outnumbered. Our cavalry just charged directly into their infantry. For glory! They got destroyed. Now the infantry is kind of coming up concernedly. The archers at least are kiting. That's about the only thing you can say that has gone, tactically according to some kind of plan in this battle. But this battle is over and we'll just blaze through this. Our plan is to remain defensive, and the screen flushes red as our army flushes itself down the proverbial toilet. We didn't even kill half of the force here. A 1 to 2 kill ratio. Needless to say, that's not going to work. Now, I already have an idea what I want to do for the Imperials as far as their optimal army composition, but I'm still learning, quite frankly, with the changes to 1.32, with the adjustments to the cavalry, with the adjustments to the shields of the cavalry, right? Especially now that cavalry is deadly if they can reach their target without getting shot to death. We're going to have to use our cavalry, in different ways here. The Imperials especially, because they like to use their two-handed courser lance. It does a lot of damage for the elite cavalry, but you zoom in here and these knuckleheads don't use their shields, right? This is a major disadvantage because archers in 1.32, well, all of the 1.3 beta are incredibly accurate and thus just as deadly as before, maybe even more deadly. The only difference now is if you can get your cavalry onto enemy archers, they're going to feast, right? They're going to eat them alive. A lot of people have pointed this out. It's kind of glaring that these guys have a shield, but they choose to use their two-handed courser lance. Meanwhile, for defense, you really got to use like your third and fourth tiered cavalrymen. So you're going to see us with this kind of a formation a lot today. I've been experimenting with this and it's worked out pretty well. Basically, we're going to lead with our weakest cavalry and then courser lances behind them, which seems, I'm sure, very unorthodox to a lot of people. It's very confusing. In this battle, we have a lot of archers. Again, we're going to click some buttons here. We will probably try several different compositions in this series, and we'll probably try a couple different kingdoms. How do we do with Imperials against a whole bunch of archers? How do we do against a whole bunch of... In fact, let's make sure we do a Khuzait battle or two, right? Against a bunch of horse archers, because, of course, that's a major threat, usually in most campaigns, to the Southern Empire and Northern Empire, with Khuzait on their border. All right, so some fundamentals here. The Imperials don't have a lot of ammo, right? They've got a lot of archers that have one bag of arrows. A lot of people don't know this, but their crossbow obviously only has one bag of bolts, and they're tier 3 and tier 4. I think they're the only tier 4 archer in the game that has one bag of arrows. Well, that's significant in battle. You really want to mind your ammunition use with the Imperials. Now, we have a lot of archers here. We're also going to use this cavalry on the right a little differently. Basically, I have a horse archer division, and instead of having them out in front, a bunch of shield wall cavalry, they don't use their shields. So we're going to use those guys to countercharge any enemy attack by banner knights. You can no longer put them out in front in a shield wall because it's not very effective, right? You got these guys, I'm going to keep moving them around because I think if they stand still, they just get shot off their horses. Now, we've got lots of archers here, and it's going to work beautifully because the enemy is coming towards the center. We countercharge there over the right. We will use a combination of the RTS mod and sort of in person. I'll sort of oscillate between. That way you guys get a nice mix of tactics from this overhead. We're going to move the horse archers point blank to their infantry division here. Their infantry is completely surrounded. We'll charge with the infantry on the left there. That infantry on the left works beautifully because now the enemy is getting sandwiched. All of our infantry is chasing after them. Meanwhile, don't forget, the Imperial infantry or archers actually pretty tough. The crossbow especially. These tier 5 mace wielding crossbow are absolutely lethal in combat. People have run tests and they're basically one of the better tier 5 infantry in the game, right? When you break it all down, it's kind of crazy to think about. They could probably use a nerf, but that's not what we're really here for. Today we're here to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the Imperials. I would say that's their biggest strength, is the Imperial Sergeant Crossbow. It's their best unit. After them, the Legionary are excellent too. Now, we're in an all-out charge at this stage because we're out of ammo, but you could see the power bar. Even though it's been messy, we can move the horse archers around. They're just an auto follow or auto circle now, and this battle is over. A battle again where the AI just completely rammed the Tesla into the wall. And with some pretty basic tactics here, we are resoundingly successful. Now, we will try to do some very simplified tactics for this series, right? We will try to do some 4-division tactics where we don't have any extra divisions. And we will also do some very complex tactics for this series. This series is it's sort of an amalgamation of different purposes. I'm exploring the 1.32 beta. I figure I might as well do it with you guys watching. This way I can play. You guys can make fun of me or teach me things. I can teach you guys things. We can all laugh at the AI, and then talk about who the best athletes are and the hottest chicks are in our spare time. I have actually no interest in any of that stuff anymore. It's interesting when you get old how your perspectives on shit change. Congratulations about your face to all these beautiful women out there. All right, so again, you're going to see us do this a lot. The crossbow division in the 4th and a regular archer division in the 5th. And the reason I like to do that, I've mentioned this before, mention it here. Your crossbow run out of ammo way before the rest of your archers. I just mentioned also that they're one of the best infantry in the game after they're out of bolts. You combine those two facts, you put them in a separate division, they run out of ammo early on and they can still enter the battle, right? Those guys can roar up with their maces and wreck shop. Now, this is unusual battlefield. I'm going to do some random battlefields for today's episode, so there's a chance I haven't even played this battlefield. No, I vaguely recognize it, but I don't remember being put in this position. We're kind of in an odd spot of the map, but we'll make it work. Now, I'm going to run a heavy right-sided assault here. With this Imperial force we have, this is a really unusual force. We have a huge amount of cavalry, a lot of archers, and hardly any infantry. Now, some people might guess that that is the optimal army composition for the Imperials. I'll just tell you right now, I don't think that is the answer. What is the answer? Of course, we will hopefully get to it in this episode. If not this episode, the next episode. Yeah, 1, 2, 4... Yeah, we'll run a high center division here with the 5th archers in the middle. We're not going to be perfectionists about these battles. I'm not going to try to fight them, perfectly so that we minimize casualties. Well, I mean, we're going to try to minimize casualties, but I'm not going to stress about it. You're not going to see me fighting, trying to squeeze every ounce of victory out of our force. I don't think we need to. The Imperials have excellent troops. I'm going to set up our high form here. What we've got on this right side is a defensive cavalry line, right? We're running basically shield and shock, which are a line of defensive cavalry with shields, lower tiered, in front of the Courser Lance guys. You have to look at Imperials a little bit differently, because you want to keep that Imperial elite cataphract alive, and with archers being so accurate, you know, your cavalry charging archers with no shield, they're dead men, right? And of course we ran plenty of tests when this first came out. The Banner Knights, the Khuzaits heavy lancers did really well. Some cavalry, the Drudziniks did really well. Some spear cavalry did really well with the upgraded AI, and make sure these guys are coming at us. Or I thought we did defensive here. Are they? Okay, here they come. Thank you, fellas, for complying with our request for you to die. We did extensive testing, and basically the Imperial cataphract can't really charge archers, not in a traditional manner. Certainly not a frontal assault. They get obliterated. Let's use this rock first, second. We have this 4th Division. Again, that crossbow division, you'll see me hold fire a lot. The 5th Corps, they can basically just fire away the whole time. And then that top spot, we're going to try to roll down the valley. We're using elevation with the cavalry. That's definitely something, if you're not doing, you want to do. Cavalry move very slowly uphill and very fast downhill, right? There is a pretty good momentum system to Bannerlord, and they do massive damage if they're moving fast when they run into archers now, whether it's charge damage, spear damage, whatever it is. Now here, the enemy's moving infantry up. It's interesting. We've got archers in the middle here, but it's actually a perfect opportunity to do a feigned attack with a rear door cavalry slam. Basically, I'm going to bait them till they're close to this 5th Division, pull this 5th Division back, and at the same time ram them in the butt with these Courser Lances. Coming downhill, these guys should close very quickly. And this is a question. Guys are like, how do I deal with infantry with cavalry? Well, try to take them around the back like this, right? We're dragging them around the back. That way it's not, you know, straight into the shields. And then enter and exit quickly. It's like a bad porn script. We're going to get in. We're going to get out. Hopefully things aren't too messy. We do some STD tests beforehand, and then get out of Dodge. Your cavalry is not going to do well against infantry in a prolonged battle, right? The Legionnaire, the Volgaire, especially shock troops, obliterate cavalry. And so knowing that, we don't want to leave our boys in there to get slaughtered. Now I'm bringing them up here because the enemy's attacking our horse archers. We don't have a lot of horse archers, but let's talk about the Imperial horse archers as we wrap this battle up. I think it's wrapped up. Our crossbow's raking. We've got an infantry square in the center. The Courser Lances at this stage are unleashed. And yeah, look at the death spam. This battle is over. So the Imperial Horse Archers are kind of a quandary. A lot of people make fun of them. They're very easy to kill when the AI uses them because they're so delicate, so brittle, no shield. They have no shield and a little tiny pathetic saber. I mean, they do decent damage actually with their saber. We'll finish off their infantry here with the rear charge. Kill them, boys. And the enemy's routing here, so this battle is over. However, the Imperials, I said earlier, lack ammo. Well, that's one of your best ways to augment their ammo, is with their horse archer. Their tier 5, what is it, Bucellarii or some shit? Some cool Latin or Italian name that I can't pronounce, right? I speak like 20 words of Italian. A Parmigiano, pizzeria, you know, I can brutalize some of the names that we share with the different countries. The point, though, is that the Bucellarii are very useful for the Imperials because of the lack of ammo with the rest of their units. They're very quick, too. Their horses move quick. You just got to keep them at all costs from contact with anything. With basically, you don't want to get attacked by cavalry, infantry, or archers. So they got to be kind of sneaky on the battlefield. And we'll try one here where we're the attacker, although you guys maybe have experienced it. I had experienced it prior to this. If you fight on this battlefield, maybe it's in winter or fall. If you fight on the Calsa River in winter, you will get a crazy wind effect. It actually kind of lags my computer into the Stone Age, and I have a strong graphics card. It's like they're making a sand or dust storm on the fields. Winds blowing everywhere through the reeds and shit like that, but I actually don't see it happening right now. So let's go ahead and just try. Let's see here. You know, I told you guys we would do some simple tactics. I'm not sure this is the battle to try it, but fuck it. Let's go ahead and just try it right here. Let's back out here. Let's try this attacking battle. Again, outnumbered almost 25%. This is not recommended. The enemy's got lots of crossbow. We're probably in trouble here, but let's see what we can do with a highly misshapen army with just the 4 divisions. We'll talk about some tactics here. But the Bucellarii, they have to be used very, very carefully. However, if you use them well, the Imperial Horse Archers are nasty. Now, all right, so some just common sense shit here, right? The enemy looks like they're entrenching on top of those rocks. What we're definitely not going to do is cross the river right in front of them and get smoked with arrows, ambushed by cavalry, and the whole thing is fucked, right? We're going to be very delicate with our approach. We're going to go way down river. Thankfully, we have the RTS mod here, right? So we're cruising through these episodes. And we'll cross the river down here, hopefully out of sight of their archers. So the Bucellarii are definitely worthwhile units to have if you have an Imperial Army. And I think 10% is a good starting level. I think once you understand how to use horse archers, you basically, the best way to think of them is mobile archers. Move them to where you want. When they start to get attacked, get them the fuck out of there. You know, and you need to do that beforehand. Don't wait until the banner knights are crashing into your lines. You need to anticipate that shit. Now, you can engage F1, F4, and charge. Both of those do a decent job with the horse archers, but I much prefer you move them to positions, have them stand there and shoot for a while, and then move them to another position, especially if they're in danger. We'll talk about that more as this episode goes on. We're going to use them extensively here, right? They're one of the better units the Imperials have. So covered the Bucellarii. What else can we cover here? We're moving in systematically here. The enemy actually has a really good setup. Their infantry's on the wrong side. It's kind of, their infantry's hanging out in the rear with the gear. But they have a huge crossbow line just shellacking us as we close here. So we're going to try to bring in our lines slowly. Some fundamentals to a situation like this. Move in very methodically and lead with your shields, right? Shield walls, it seems elementary, and most guys probably know this, but lead in with your heavy cavalry, lead in with your defensive cavalry, and then have infantry in a shield wall closing. Oh, they're moving. Let's move in quick here. We got a chance to trap them. If they cross the river, they're especially fucked, but they just trapped themselves. They ran up into the rocks there. They got nowhere to move. If they run down to the other side, they're in the river. So we got the enemy in a pickle here, and this is, you know, this is a good example. It's a chess game against your little sister, and when they make a mistake, you know, in Bannerlord, you know, you could tell your little sister, don't put your queen there, I'm going to take your queen. Or you can just take their queen and fucking take her lunch money too. We're obviously playing a mediocre AI, that's the bottom line. So we're going to take advantage of it. Now, they also have a cav wing over here behind me that's isolated. So I think we'll try to destroy that cav wing. I'm keeping an eye on their crossbow and infantry here, but they're penned up something fierce. We just got to get our archers in here in a hurry. Because once we get them basically point blank, the enemy can't spread out. They can't run to the other side because we'll be able to attack them in the water. And they're going to get completely filled with arrows in their little cubby hole. They're like a kid on a timeout that ran to the absolute worst place, right? They ran to the candy store with all the pedophiles. It's not a good place to be. Hurry up, infantry. Oh, shit. Let's get the infantry over here. Adapt and adjust here. We've got cavalry coming in. We square these guys here in front of this cavalry just to minimize that. But look, listen to our arrows. Just... Now, our cavalry here is actually bound up. This is kind of an interesting battle right now. There's a lot of tight spaces we're trying to fight in. But things are good here, right? Our horse archers are just firing away into the packed enemy ranks. Our archers have a superior position, and their crossbows starting to charge out with their shields up because they don't know what else to do. If they don't hold their shields up, they're going to die, right? So the AI is in a pickle here, and there's really no surviving this. You know, they basically, you know, you lose your queen in a chess game, especially without a trade, and you probably lose. It's probably over. Now, this second cavalry, we could dismount here, but again, the lack of shields is a problem, right? We're distracting pretty well with this square. What I actually prefer here is to drag your cavalry in there and then dismount them. As soon as they're sort of thick in the enemy, get the fuck out of my way, fucking horse. As soon as they're thick in the enemy ranks, and what a shooting gallery. Our archers are just thrilled. Now, they are starting to spread out bitch-ass sharpshooters here, right? So let's bring Cav right in here. We're just going to drive them right through these archers, all these crossbow. I don't think you fuckers are going to shoot today. Now, it keeps telling them to kill them all. You know, again, you can just point and click F1. That's the easiest way to do it. You can also just drag them like this, right? Follow me. Now, they're taking forever. Get over here. And once they're in here, we will dismount these guys. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Well, we have the RTS mod so we can keep playing, which is good. Although you can see the power bar, we probably win this battle even if I can't get a character that survives. What's happening here, man? Holy shit, every guy's insta-killed. Well, the back stages of this battle kind of got messy. Of course, that's an obvious one, right? Don't get killed as the commander. The AI will do dumb shit. But now our archers are charging. I think they just mass routed. We can swing our fists at a few of them here. And this battle is over. So not quite what I was hoping for. You guys want to see more battles where we're the attacker. They're dealing with that in their campaign. And they're like, yeah, I want to show me how to win highly outnumbered as the attacker. Well, we can do that. And sometimes we can win those battles. But honestly, you should not be attacking. You should be the defender, right? On the campaign map, if you're hugely outnumbered, they should be the one initiating combat, which means they have to come to you. Nevertheless, we'll try it here. This is outnumbered by 33%, right? Give or take. And let's just do a bizarre, here, that's fine. Talk about bizarre. 0 cavalry. And again, I kind of like this just random button, right? You can't actually hit the random button because it randomizes everything. But this is fun for me, right? Let's just try some bizarre tactics. Let's see here. We got horse. Oh, so we don't have heavy cavalry, right? All we have is horse archers. So let's see here. We want to give the horse archers some shields. Normally, I would give them some cavalry because we're obviously going to try to flank the enemy. We have to move up on the enemy here. Major disadvantage when you have archers. It's a little easier when you have horse archers because they get to position quickly. But with so few shields and 0 cavalry, right? We have to be very careful with that 7th division. Our horse archers have to get, into position without getting mauled by enemy infantry. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to run 2 infantry divisions, the 1st and the 6th. Again, we'll have the 4th division of archers be crossbow. The 5th division, just a big giant glob. And then we have this 7th division, a lot of horse archers to try to flank the enemy. I want to say they had a lot of crossbow. Let's see what they got. We'll switch kingdoms here too for someone who's like, fuck man, I know how to beat Blandy, or they're not. I'm losing to the Khuzait. Show me the Khuzait. We'll get to them, fellas. I promise. Or fella, maybe there's one person watching this. I understand the format for this probably drives some guys crazy. They're like, give me timestamps, give me this and that. When you're producing almost an episode every day for YouTube, you just don't have the time to timestamp this and tons of fancy editing. You guys can almost essentially consider this like a live stream where I didn't play it live. It's not always convenient for me to do that. I've done it a handful of times. We've had some technical difficulties, and so we're just going to continue. I'm going to continue my role here. And fellas are welcome to not watch, right? I study the analytics. I'm a mathematical-minded person, so when you guys don't watch an episode, I know, right? And what I mean by that is broadly speaking. And they've got tons of crossbow, and they actually have a really good position. I got to do a little reconnaissance to try to figure out what we're dealing with here. I do not recognize this map at all. It's almost like I've never seen this map, which is great, right? This is 130 or 160 maps or something that are part of Bannerlord, and on top of that, you have all these villages and cities. The amount of variety is outstanding. That someone with my experience can still see new landscapes. I think that's great. And with the DLC, of course, we're going to get even more. Okay, we've got an attack here. These archers are getting pelted. One of the best ways to have your archers attack early on is just a charge. Move them to position and tell them to charge. Just don't forget about them because they will keep advancing. And if they're advancing, right next to the enemy infantry, they're going to get killed. So if you have units that are closing in on the enemy, have them charge. This is something I've just been adapting lately. Amazingly, I'm still learning stuff about this game. And what's nice is every single guy tries to shoot instantly when you do charge. If they can see, they try to shoot. Archers will try to shoot. If they can't see, they do what they're doing now. They move forward until they can shoot. Again, there are disadvantages to it. They're moving towards the enemy. Eventually, that makes them vulnerable to cavalry and infantry. But it's highly effective in small bursts. Oh shit, my character just insta-died. Let's see here. We don't have any cavalry to take over. You know what I'm going to do here? We're just going to use the RTS mod. I can't show you guys shit from the ground level. At least on a horse, I can kind of show you shit. Let's just do this. We'll control from here. So over here we have an infantry division, the 6th Corps. We have 2 different shield infantry divisions, and one of them is protecting that horse archer division on the right. On the left here, or the center, we have archers moving up behind a big, thick line of infantry, and we're starting to close the vise here. The enemy's sort of swirling around on their ridge over there. Move up, boys. See here. Now they got cavalry, right? Coming up, of course, the RTS mod, we see things a little clearer. We're going to move our horse archers and cavalry, or infantry rather, to confront their cavalry. You want to make sure your angles of your horse archers is good. What I mean by that is if they're facing... Oh, shit. Man, they blasted our infantry there. I mean, maybe they didn't get a ton of kills, but that was pretty impressive by cavalry. That was definitely something that would not have happened before the beta, before the 1.32 change. They've done good work to make cavalry more deadly. I was actually thrilled to see that. Now, they didn't just wipe the infantry out. That would be a bad change, right? If they just destroyed infantry whenever they charged it. Nobody wants them just to completely destroy everything. We're just hoping for more balance. Now, the enemy's moving up here, and they're in their own peekaboo ridge. I don't know what they're doing. I think they're freaked out because our horse archers are strafing them. Whatever the case, we're going to move this infantry the other side. That way, they're completely centered between all our different units. We have horse archers over here on the right just raking. These guys can charge. This infantry can charge. Now we can start moving horse archers behind them, right? The enemy's walked right into the trap. We've got infantry now that can charge on their right flank. All these ruthless legionnaire. Now notice them trying to throw their pylons. Let me talk about that shit because this battle's over. We're going to kite with this 5th Division here. You can see the power bar. The enemy's being wholesale exterminated here. Look at our ruthless Sergeant Crossbow come up with those maces and just start laying waste. Now it's interesting, they're chasing down the 5th Division, but this is going to end the battle because all that infantry is just exiting. They're chasing archers, but it's 100 infantry chasing 60 archers. Meanwhile, they're going to come back to every single one of their lads massacred here. So let's talk about the Imperial infantry here at the end of this battle. I think they have really good infantry, really good tier 3, 4, and 5 infantry. Their tier 3 guy has 3 or 4 javelins. The Legionary and Elite Manavlon are probably the best mutualism. A guy just taught me this word recently. I'll use symbiosis because a lot of guys know what I mean by that. Well, let me just put it a different way. I think they are the most effective combo infantry in the game. Now, we've shown Battanians absolutely rip it too. As far as just slugging it out offense, right, without using ranged weapons and kiting and stuff like that, the Legionnaire and the Elite Manavlon are utterly lethal. Now, let's again just spin the dial here. Let's, what do we do here? Do some Khuzait. You guys want to see some Khuzait, right? Let me just change the units here and we'll finish this up. So the Legionnaire knocks you around with their mace, right? They swing very fast. They have very strong armor. They're very good at knocking you around, right? The maces physically stagger your units in the battle line. And then the slower swinging Elite Manavlon destroys you, right? You get obliterated by a gigantic, highly damaging polearm. We'll just try this. A heavy infantry Against lots of Khuzaits here, we'll try a heavy infantry army with some archers, right? We'll see how this goes. We'll give them 45% Khuzaits, 600. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Let's have the sergeant butcher this battle first. So the Imperial elite Manavlon and Legionnaire are really good infantry. However, and I say however, they added pylons. They can now throw their pylons. Well, this is going to sound strange to you, as holy shit, our forces just get exterminated here. We may not be able to win this battle. Look how bad the AI is being melted. Where's the horse archers? Okay. Actually, their infantry did pretty well, but now their archers spread out. Anyways, they throw their pylons, and I hate to say it, but I think it's negative. And let me explain. We'll set this up here. I'm going to set up my units. I'll have 30 seconds here. When the Imperials used to enter combat, and I say used to, previous versions, 1.2. Now, you could set up on the edge over here. We're not going to cheese these maps, of course. We're going to fight like men out in the open. That's obviously the best way to fight the Khuzaits, right? A lot of people consider that cheese. Do what you want to. If you've never seen that before, I'm not going to illustrate it, but you basically just set up your units so they can't circle you. It's not foolproof, but boy, is it effective. So they throw their pylons. However, the AI is coded, if they have a throwing weapon, to look for a target, and that includes standing there while their mates are fighting. I actually think it's a lot more efficient, and I've done tests that have proven that the Elite Manavlon and the Legionnaire, when they charge in an infantry line, you're much better off having them hold fire, which is effectively saying the thrown pylon that comes with the 1.32 change, or 1.3, I guess it changed to 1.3, is negative for the Imperials if you're F1, F3ing your units. If you're doing a little bit of flanking and skirmishing, then it's positive, right? Because they're throwing these pylons. But it's one pylon, and it doesn't do enormous damage. It's not like it insta-kills everything. I think a net, it's actually negative for the Imperials. Again, because they, you charge, everybody charges, and half of their line is standing there holding their pylon like, give me something to throw at, boss. We will be holding fire frequently, and I'll show you that a few times here. And again, you're welcome to do your own testing, but my testing has been resoundingly not slightly conclusive, highly conclusive. And it's strange, right? Because it's an unintentional nerf. I don't think Tail Worlds is aware that they basically made them worse by having them throw the pylon. So this is true of other skirmishers with the exception of Britannia, right? You want your Volgier, for example. And what's happened here? I just realized I'm looking around. What did we do? I guess we didn't do horse archers? I don't see any horse archers. So you know what? I must have not given them. I gave them tons of archers. So we'll try to progress here. I mean, we'll just roll with it. It's random, right? I guess it's random. I didn't even mean to set it up like this, and we could still win this, right? We're outnumbered by 30%. We can get some flanking forces here. Let's do an oblique order on our right side here. The center infantry is getting obliterated with arrows, but the Legionnaire have really good armor, right? So we're going to take advantage of that. Hopefully they can hold the center here while we pull off a flanking maneuver. We're basically going to bully the cavalry, the enemy cavalry on our right flank, take over with horse archers, and enfilade fire the enemy to death. Our shields are working. Some of these guys are trapped. Look at our cavalry trapped there behind the infantry. Sometimes the shield wall is so thick, your own troops can't get through it. Our infantry is being pelted, but I don't hear them dying left and right, and the enemy's about to. Right now we have 59 of these nasty horse archers. Ironically, this is a battle against the Khuzaits with no horse archers. We'll fight a battle after this, and we'll give them a bunch of horse archers. I just botched this, but it's okay. Right? We're not going to do editing here. It's still interesting, right? How do you battle a huge amount of infantry and archers with this Imperial force? It's an oddball Imperial force. Well, this is how, right? We have savage flanking fire now. This is a naval term called crossing the T. They can't miss. Every single arrow hits somebody, and if it doesn't hit their intended target, it hits the guy right past them because they're packed in so tightly. Meanwhile, our archers are spread. Most of them are having a good time. Our horse archers are destroying everything. And those Bucellarii, man, they are raking it. Those Italians know how to name a horse archer, and they fuck shit up. Someone's gonna, for sure comment, "You're so ignorant, dude. Why do you speak like an authoritative dipshit about Italy? You don't know anything about it." And you're right. And we're just running a little YouTube channel here. Live a little bit, relax. I love Italy. You guys are great. The whole Mussolini thing, right? You could have probably skipped that part, but everything else has been great. Fucking Italy, beautiful. I like some olives. Mediterranean diet. We're going to swing in this cavalry now behind the enemy, these horse archers, charged with the rest of the infantry, and this battle is over. We have shellacked them so bad at range. And again, oh, here we go. Look, them all standing there. Ceasefire, right? And they all roar up into battle. And there's just going to be a huge flush of green as all of those elite infantry destroy these Khuzait infantry. I think it's over. Yeah, this battle is over. The Khuzaits flee the battlefield. And that was, yeah. Well, it wasn't expected, but there you have it, right? Destroying a large force of archers and infantry with an oddball Imperial force. Let's try actual horse archers, right? Let's do what I actually intended here. It's fine to mix it in. So horse archers, right? We're almost certainly going to do a ring defense. I'm in a quandary. Part of me wants to set up exactly the army that I would do against a whole bunch of horse archers, and the other part of me wants to continue to do this sort of random, right? We're outnumbered 35%. Let's just punch them a bunch of horse archers. That's a pretty good mix of units there. Something like that. That's a pretty typical Khuzait force. And let's see here. Let's just fucking click this a few times. There's no individual random button. We'll just something like that, right? How's that sound? So some archers and 40, 20, 20, 20. And you know what? That's maybe a few less horse archers. This might be probably my pick for the Imperials. If I had to say I was playing in a tournament for $10,000 and you had to choose your army composition, this is probably pretty close. We'll see what it looks like here. Let's choose a different battlefield. Let's keep it lively here. Just some random fucking thing. Here we go. We'll go back to Italy, the Vanilla Coast. And good, perfect. Nice big open battlefield. Again, we could just, fight at the back of the map, but we're not going to do that. We're going to let them circle us. But I think with this army composition, they're not going to be able to circle us. We're going to destroy them before they can circle us. We've got a bunch of horse archers, cavalry. We've got all the tools now. So I'm going to use 8 divisions, and I'll break this down for you. The 6th Division, skirmishers. The 7th Division, horse archers, all of them. The 8th Division, attacking cavalry. It'll be our best elite Manavlon. Now, this is where you don't mind them having a shield, because we're going to come in on the enemy flank. We're going to basically come in behind the horse archers. So I'll show you in a minute. We're definitely going to try to get to the far left edge of the map here. Not with the whole force, just with cavalry. In fact, it would be not very effective if our whole force was there. They would still shoot at us. But this will be basically a trap. I think if this is not the best way to fight a Khuzait army, this is very, very high on the list. We're going to do a defensive center with a circle. It's basically incorporating 4 or 5 major tactical concepts all at the same time. We're going to do a centralized circle defense. Right? You zoom in here. I like to do about a 50 or 40 meter circle. That way there's enough room for your units to spread out. And we've got all 3 of our infantry divisions that we can put in here, right? The first towards the front, that's our heaviest infantry. Skirmishers towards the back, our weakest guys, the tier 3 guys are in there. They'll throw javelins. In the center, you mix in your Manavliotons, right? You can make the circle a little smaller. Square out in front, right? And that does a really good job of absorbing cavalry attacks and horse archer attacks. Now behind it, we're going to do a firing squad, right? I often call this an inner circle of hell with the firing squad. It's basically very slightly tilted towards our left, which is the direction they circle, a bunch of crossbow. Combined with the trap from the other side that we're going to set up here in a second, this is incredibly deadly. Now way over here, you want to put horse archers and cavalry. And on some level, some guys are like, well, you're using the back of the map. It actually wouldn't matter how far the map went. If it went hundreds of yards, we would just move those units because they're cavalry, right? We would just pull them away from the enemy. Now you notice me holding fire with that 3rd Division. I don't want them throwing their pylons. I want them attacking with their elite Manavlon. Manavlon? Yeah, you know what I mean. Their big fucking polearm. The BFP. Alright, so let's do a little inspection here. We're telling units to stand still. Now there's a beautiful little bull there. Those guys are extra protected from horse archers. This is actually a really good setup. And we win. This fucking battle is over. I'm excited for the enemy to come get immolated. Let's see how many they have. 228 horse archers. It's ominous, right? Well, we've got just the medicine for what ails us here, right? We've got almost 100 horse archers of our own. We've got an attacking division of cavalry to augment them, and we're going to pinch the enemy, right? Notice them circling. They're coming towards our center ring, which is what we want. Bring in the horse archers over here. Now, here's the thing. They can't shoot me where I'm at right now. The horse archers can only shoot kind of what's in front of them or to their left. They can't shoot behind them to the right here. So that means once we bring our horse archers behind them, our horse archers can shoot. They cannot. Worse than that, we're going to charge them with elite cavalry while they're being shot by crossbow. 191. They're quickly melting here. And they're also charging that other archer line, right? So they're going to get pelted here. And at their worst moment, we're going to charge up their asses with a bunch of spikes. Look at these guys roaring in. And they don't need a shield. None of them are being shot, right? Because of the angle of attack here. In they go. And we have horse archers here just waiting for them to, like, please come this way. In fact, we can bring these guys even closer here. As they retreat, they're just going to get smoked with enfilade fire. And it's just a wholesale liquidation. We can't. Oh shit. All right. So this is the rest of our formations. We have an inner circle of hell. They charge our center with cavalry. Our elite Manavliatons are very happy to dismember all these poor horsemen. They can't move and they get obliterated. We've got skirmishers in the back here dumping javelins. Maybe they dumped them all already. Those guys we can just hold in reserve. It's another line of spears the enemy has to run through just to get to the back of the circle. That's where all our archers are, right? Now the enemy's moving up, but we've destroyed most of their horse archers. Only a vanguard remains. Now we can get the horse archers on their flank. And it would be hard for the enemy to be getting their shit pushed in more hard than this. This is like that scene from Training Day where the guy's upside down in the shower thinking he's going to get his head blown open by a gangster. He was having Ethan Hawke or whatever the guy's name was having a very bad day in that great movie. This Khuzait force probably wishes we pulled the trigger. They got tormented in this battle. And we're outnumbered by 35%, and we're not just going to win here. We're blowing the enemy off the field. Now, their horse archers are dead, and look at the enfilade fire coming from our horse archers. Let's bring our cavalry up here and just work their archers. Blasted that last guy. His shield went flying, and that's like a synonym for the battle here against the Khuzaits. So I know there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of different tactics and formations and movement all at the same time. Hopefully most of that sticks, right? The guys that are fighting the Khuzaits that are having a hard time, whether you're playing with the Imperials, that'll work well with the Sturgeons. You just don't have the horse archers. Instead, use your Jav Cav. It's almost as effective. But this combination, man, those horse archers, people give them a hard time because they are weak bitches in combat. The Bucellarii, you don't want to be on the receiving end of those arrows. They shoot a lot of arrows, and they have a lot, right? They have like 50-something arrows in their inventory. It's exceedingly nasty. All right, let's see. What else can we do here? Let's do another challenge. I know I can hear some guys saying, yeah, well, Can you take on a huge amount of fiend champions, right? Is this the perfect army? And I think this might work, right? I might take a few less horse archers, and you're asking what would I do instead of more horse archers? More sergeant crossbow, right? More of those savage infantrymen that also have a crossbow. That's basically how I look at Imperial sergeant crossbow. We did a whole episode just covering them, right? Just fighting only with them. It's amazingly effective. You could definitely roll across Calradia with an army of 400 Imperial Elite Sergeant Crossbow. You could form squares. Your guys are ruthless as infantry. You rake the enemy at range. It's pretty savage. In Keep Siege, you're unbeatable because you have squares. You got crossbow with front-loaded damage. Yeah, it's nasty. All right, well, I'm hesitant to do this, but, we're just going to mix everything in. This is going to be a grab bag episode. We'll do a reverse slope decline. We're up against an incredible challenge here, right? A huge amount of fiends. We're hugely outnumbered. And we'll see what we can do here. We may not be able to win this. Let's see. I don't want to set up an 8. I think we'll just run these 7 divisions. I'll show you what this looks like on the ground, of course. Peekaboo Ridge is one of the few tactics where it's much harder to actually do this with the RTS mod. You've got to get down on the ground and look at the angles and see the line of sight. So this bowl over here on the left is what I'm talking about. Look at that ridge full of yellow flowers. The enemy has to come over that. Once they do, the flowers grow really well because their bodies fill with arrows and projectiles and they bleed out right here. So let's show you this setup here. The key is to make sure your units are not super visible from the other side, right? If they can shoot you without going over the ridge, it's not a reverse slope decline, right? You got to make sure your units are low enough here. And sometimes it takes some experimenting, right? We may get shot here at the beginning, and that's okay, right? It'll be basically something we adjust, and it's instructional. If you've never done something like this before. This is probably the singular most powerful landscape tactic in Bannerlord. Maybe, you could argue like a narrow area, a Thermopylae type gap is more efficient, or a bridge or something like that. But this is stunningly effective. The key is to make sure you have plenty of archers and manage your ammo. You see me holding fire a lot here. These horse archers might be a little high. We've got defensive squares and shield walls on the perimeter, right? That's because the enemy cavalry almost always charges from, like 10 o'clock or something like that. At 2 o'clock. They don't charge noon. And probably move more units here to our left. Now we're being shot, so we're going to have to keep adjusting, bring these guys down. These guys look okay. I'm going to tuck them in just a little bit more. That looks good. We'll just tuck them in. Now, I didn't mention it, but we have a shock troop division behind that cavalry. Classic shield and shock, right? That's one of the best mutualism tactics in the game, is to make sure that you have shock troops protected by cavalry. It's amazing to me that this isn't more common in Bannerlord tactics. I hear people all the time saying, what the fuck are you even talking about? I don't know. I've been shouting at the top of my lungs for 2 years on YouTube that this is one of the best pairings in the game. Cavalry and shock troops. Now here, we're gonna use these horses. I don't actually need their mobility. It's another good example of how this is a really good mix of an army. It's versatile. I can just leave those horses there, and now that gives us a little barrier of horses. Oh shit! Of horses in the way of the enemy as they close in. Right? Those horses will kind of stand there and chew their cud, and as the enemy pours in here, they're not really going to be able to push through all those horses. Meanwhile, the archers are still with us. Now the death spam has started. They are going to. Let's see, they're going to have a Cav charge probably. And get a 4th division set up just a little bit higher. Here they come, in fact. Let's square these boys. We'll see how they do here. And they're protected a little bit by the horses, right? Oh shit. All the javelins come flying in, and instead the enemy hits horses in the way. And it completely repelled the charge. They didn't even get past the horses. And the death spam is just fizzing away. I mean, that's an incredible amount of ammo. Now, what are some of the major changes with 1.3? 1.32, cavalry, much more effective, particularly spear cavalry. Very, very deadly. The Imperials probably have the worst, right? Because again, their higher tier don't use their shields. Instead, they use two-handed weapons. It'd be better if they whip their shield out, or at least if a lot more of them use their shield. They'll use their shield in melee. Right? If you dismount them, they will use their shield. They'll pull out their sword and their shield. However, on a horse, charging archers... Ah! Somebody's going to marry her. Won't be me. Now, they're charging with scouts. The worst tier 4 unit in the game. And they're insta-dying. You see their little rickety their little wooden shield. I mean, how come the Battanians, all their shields look like they ran down to the second-hand store? The Imperials have these gleaming, beautiful, beautiful bronze shields. And the Battanians, what did they? They all chopped out a little burl of wood and put a little ring of metal around the outside and said, yeah, we're ready. It's funny that, you know, it's part lore, but it's also, it seems like, I don't know. I guess nobody's going to file discrimination in Bannerlord, but the Battanians just have these pile of shit devastated cities, and the Imperials have like utterly peak Roman buildings with gleaming fucking beautiful clean streets. Well, that was accidental. I charged with the shock troop division, and they kind of got murdered. But that's all right. We killed some on the way out. And now it's mostly just Fiend champs, right? They got... how many Fiend champs that they got here? They've got a ton. They still have archers, too. And they have a huge line of archers behind it, right? It's going to be... we're going to be here a little while still. And we're actually running low on ammo. We might even have to make a peekaboo rush, which is effectively the same thing as a peekaboo ridge defense, only you're charging, right? We're going to have to get offensive. They're definitely not getting through that with their infantry. Yeah, here they come too. Fuck, there's a lot of archers. Well, I don't want this episode to take 40 minutes. We could probably sit here and milk them. I'm almost dead, actually, but I think we can rush this shit, right? We've got a bunch of units. You can see the power bar up top favors us. But this is going to be challenging because we're going to be rushing over into their reverse slope decline. It's basically going to be the opposite of what I've just showed you. They've got a fuck ton of archers there. It's just a huge block. My shield just got... my shield got blown up and insta-killed. This is still the best unit in the game, right? The Fiend Champ is better than a Consguard. Don't give a fuck what people say. Maybe if you use them better, the Consguards are you know, will beat Fiend Champs. But Fiend Champs' output of damage is just unmatched. It's unbelievable how much damage they do, how deadly they are. And I think this is illustrated. Look at these fucks are kiting to the edge of the battlefield here. And we're closing, but man, we're being mowed down as we close. These elite archers, fuck you guys. We've done everything well in this battle, and we're still being liquidated. Now, we could have sat and hid underneath that ridge and made them charge us, but I think we can win this anyways. It's close, and I didn't want to waste your time for this. That would have been the proper thing to do. Anybody wondering there, and if you're in that exact same situation we are, you're out of ammo, you're in a reverse slope decline, the enemy's got tons of archers, or heaven forbid, Fiend Champs like this, just wait. Just sit on your edge of the ridge. If they come over and get line of sight and they start shooting down into you, charge, right? That's the difference. But if they come over into melee, you're happy. F1, F3, and the prom queen gets her lingerie on. And not destructive victory, but considering what we were up against, right? 100 Fiend Champs. Or looks like 80 something, 86. That's pretty damn good to wax them with this setup. And you know, more and more, I guess what I'm doing here is I'm making my campaign speech that this is the optimal Imperial Army here. Again, you could tinker it a percent or two, but I think this is pretty close. And I don't think it surprises too many of the people on the channel that it's 40% archers. I think we've been advocating 40% archers for about a year now. And unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because they should probably have gone the other way, they're even more accurate in 1.3. I really think that archers should be, their accuracy should be reduced. Instead, it was increased. Okay. All right, so what to do against a whole bunch of banner knights? Let's try cavalry now, a cavalry defense, right? So very similar to the Khuzaits, slight adjustments, and I'll show you basically what we're going to do. The biggest difference is when you're facing a huge heavy cavalry charge, your horse archers become horse meat. You want to basically consider it your best course of action to dismount all those horse archers. If you're facing a huge amount of cavalry. If it's just a moderate amount of cavalry, keep your guys on horse. But I think you're better off against a huge amount of cavalry using the horses. Stick them out in front. Now we've got so many archers here. What do we do? 180 archers. Our army is, it's the same army. We've got, it looks like a lot more. We'll do these 3 divisions. Now I got a crossbow division, a weaker division that we're going to put inside a circle defense, and then we have a stronger non-crossbow division that we'll put towards the rear. The reason I'm bifurcating that is because against so many cavalry, we want to make sure that we have our archers in different locations. If they're all together, they all get trampled. If they're in 3 locations, some of them are still shooting. That's critical. Now switch that to pole arms, right? A whole bunch of elite Manavlions square towards the front. It's probably looking similar, right? There's one difference between the Khuzaits circle. We want to put a bunch of archers in here, right? That way those guys are protected from cavalry charge. That looks good. We've got 2 horse archer divisions again. What I'm probably going to do is put one out in front and just use the horses. We'll just park their horses out in front, shield wall, block up the cavalry. Unfortunately, the AI doesn't know what to do about a whole bunch of horses. It basically gets confused by it. It charges into it. Some people, again, they might say that's kind of an exploit. It is what it is. You don't have to use it. And if you consider that an exploit, don't use it. And if you want to call me names because we're putting horses out and confusing the AI, fire away. I'm an old guy. I don't give a fuck. Troll away. All right, the enemy's got a huge amount of time to get here, so we cover some of the fundamentals again, right? We're holding fire with the Manavlions. The circle I like to hold. Also archer divisions, I like to tell them to hold. And the F1, F6, once they're in position to hold. That is because against cavalry, what'll happen is this dynamic, and I've seen it in slow-mo. Your units get killed, right? They get stabbed by a horse, and if they're in spread, the AI is designed, programmed to try to keep that spread. It'll move units around instead of shooting the horses. Okay. That'll probably work there. So when you tell units to stand still, stop. What am I looking at? Oh shit, I did it again. Instead of lots of cavalry, we're up against a huge amount of archers. Whoops. This formation, let's roll with it. Fuck it. Let's just shift on the fly here. A little bit of improv tactics. This is a totally snafu situation. Let's try to do the best we can here. So shield and shock over here on our left. So we'll pair the second, third. Let's give them a crossbow division. Maybe we can do a magic screen here as well. This is definitely a scenario where it might make sense. If we do it, I'll explain it. I'm not going to explain it in case we don't. But let's start deforming defensive lines. Shields towards the front. We can start setting these archers up. At least we have a bunch of archers, right? In an archer duel here, we have at least a fighting chance. They way outnumber us for archers, though. They have 350 fucking archers. It's just a huge wall, phalanx of sharpshooters. So here come the bolts. I pity this infantry division. Those guys are going to look like fucking pin cushions. Let's move our archers up behind them. You notice again, the shield's out in front. However, this is where our cavalry's at a loss, right? We have all this cavalry, and a lot of them, their shields are, they're behind them, right? They're standing there with their spear and they're getting shot in the face. This is not optimal. However, that division can help us here with the magic screen. I think we're going to do it here. Let's move this infantry over, this 3rd division over. We've got to deal with their cavalry first, but once we can manhandle this left side, then we can use, there's even an elevated spot here. Let's do it. We can get horse archers and an archer division here. Fire down into the enemy while we push cav in their face. And if we're really smooth here, we can actually manipulate their archers. I'm going to try to spin them like a top. We'll see if we can see if we can make that work. Show you what I mean. Our horse archers are being raked. It is what it is. Let's try to get these guys here behind these heavy cav. Oh shit, these guys are charging us. Let's get this 3rd division up here, push the cavalry past them. Perfect opportunity. Magic screen is where you lead with cavalry and archers and horse archers behind it, so that once they clear, in other words, and we are already starting to make their skirmishers or their archers squeamish, all of a sudden you have your archers in place, like point blank to the enemy. So let's try to spin them more here, right? We'll move the cavalry off to the enemy's right flank. I'm basically trying to push their crossbow so that it's facing the rest of our other troops. Our infantry and other archers out there, all those horse archers. And it's working too, look at that. They just totally exposed all these crossbow. They're running and trying to move around while they're getting obliterated by horse archers. Infantry can bore in here. Now we can get the other horse archer division on the flank. And they are being flat out surrounded and raked. We have archers or horse archers on every side. And they're trying to shoot. You can hear them. We can't stop them. Now, beautiful, right? Our cavalry just moving to the side is making all their archers squeamish. They're sort of running around mindlessly. They're being shot. We've already killed half of their crossbow. And this battle's over. I think their infantry just mass routed. They're like, fuck this job. Well, that was fun. That was not what I expected. We were all set to deal with a huge cavalry charge, and it shows you the power of tactics, right? You do some tactical improv, you shift gears, and you still blow the enemy off the map. Run! Run! Die, dog! And the guy goes, get back! I'm going to be the last person in the room laughing about the death sounds in Bannerlord. I had a guy once say, it was only after I started watching your videos that I started paying attention to the death sounds. That's amazing to me because it's comedy mixed within the game, right? It's this kill guys and they have all these exaggerated death sounds. I think it's fucking great. All right, let's actually do what I intended to do. Lots of cavalry, right? A true Valandian challenge here. We'll give them plenty of infantry. That's kind of the nightmare scenario for an archer army, however. I think with our mix here, even outnumbered by 70%, I think we can still win this battle. Now we're going to basically set up that same ring defense. No, we're not. We've got terrain here to use. Well, I don't know. It's kind of cheese. It is what it is, though. Let's show you this shit. We've got incredible terrain here to use. We can do effectively a reverse slope decline with obstacles. It would be hard to have a more lethal setup here for this. We've got horse archers we can mix in, jam their horses also on the slope. This is going to be fun. We'll do 3 infantry divisions, 1st, 3rd, 6th. Just 1 big cav division, I think. I'd like to have 2 cav divisions. Let me see here. This is where I wish I had 9 or 10 divisions. I think we'll stick with just 1. I could mix them. Let's just stick with 1 cav division. We'll just put them in a big long line. We're going to make a huge defensive line, right? The enemy's charging us with cavalry. Ordinarily, you could not stop 500 heavy cavalry charging you, but with our 70 horses, infantry, some horse archers jammed in there, and then a whole bunch of rocks on this wall. Now we can, right? All these impassable areas. This is going to be savage. Now, I want to make sure there's minimal openings here. They're going to kill these guys eventually, but it's that first 300 kills. The first 300 kills in a battle usually determines the battle, right? If it's mixed, the battle's going to go on. But if you have a 9-to-1 kill ratio in the first 300 kills, you win, right? Unless you're massively outnumbered. We've got rocks protecting those guys there. They have enfilade fire. We can get 2 horse archer divisions. At least one of the horse archer divisions we're going to dismount. And we've got a lot of time here to set up. The enemy's a long ways away. So let's perfect this a little bit, and I'll walk you through it. All this different shit that's in the way here. All these little, I don't know what the fuck they are. They're like termite hills or some shit like that. We're just going to jam a whole bunch of units up there. Cavalry, infantry behind them, of course, so that the infantry's protected. We could stick at least 1 horse archer division just over here in this gap, right? You put them in a shield wall, and then you have the guys dismount. It's just what we were trying to do a couple battles ago. It was what I was going to do last battle until I realized that we were facing all archers. And it was like, oh shit, better not do that. It's a good example. Don't dismount your horses until you're sure what you're facing, right? Because if it's a whole bunch of something you don't expect, you might want those guys on their horse. Take a peek here, see how far away they are. They're coming in slow. Let's do the old RTS zoom. And look at how imposing that looks. Just a huge line with the background. It looks like something out of Lord of the Rings, right? That looks great. Where's Theoden? He's going to die here on the Pelennor Fields, on the Pendraic Prairie. All right, let's get these guys moved back. I'm going to keep 1 division of horse archers on foot, or on their horses. I want a little bit of mobility in case their cav charge does just tear through our lines. That way we can at least move them out of harm's way. And what a setup we've got here. Now, crossbows holding fire, right? I've mentioned it a lot in this episode. Here, we don't need them as infantry right away. So, I want to wait until the enemy's a lot more vulnerable, and then we can unleash hell. Now, they had a handful of guys slip through, but look how bundled up they are, right? The rest of them are just completely snarled. It's a rush hour traffic jam. Only you're not late for dinner, you're killed, right? They're getting shot to pieces, and they're all exposed. They're hugely exposed, right? There's just shields everywhere, being filled with arrows. We have shock troops in there making it harder on them. There's a square of infantry in there as well. Now the crossbows adding to the maelstrom. To bring this infantry over here. I had the 6th Division over there to the side just in case the enemy had a flank charge. They didn't though. And now they just get exterminated. This fucking battle is already over. I mean, you can just tell what a disaster the enemy's in here. And oh shit, they're shooting. We might need to adjust a little bit. But it shows one of the things that the system could really use. Cavalry never in Bannerlord attack you from behind. Every once in a while, the AI should definitely be programmed to just circle around you with the cavalry. Make you think. Make you do something different. But alas, we'll have to wait for an update or a modder or Bannerlord 3 or something. All right, let's move these horse archers closer. And this is what I mentioned before, right? By keeping them on horse, we can now move them a lot easier. We can move them, tuck them in a little bit so that they're out of line of sight from the enemy archers. The enemy infantry is coming down, but boy, are they in for it. They're already routing. They're cut to ribbons. And you don't usually get a death spam like this, but on top of that, we were outnumbered, I think 730 or 750 to 430. We're outnumbered by like 70% here, and it's just a complete massacre. And, you know, I mean, it's landscape tactics with a reverse slope decline, with what is probably, you know, the optimal Imperial Army. You guys, of course, free to have your own opinion. Some guys are like, you're speaking. I had a guy go ballistic on me for something I said, something outside of Bannerlord. you should know what you're saying, you know, before you speak authoritatively about a subject. I'm not making any claims on the channel. We're not going around saying Wikipedia is wrong, I'm right on this or that or something like that. When I ramble, understand, like, I'm wrong regularly. Ask my wife when I make mistakes, when I say something that's not accurate and I get corrected, I'm humble about it. You're rarely going to hear me say, eat shit, right? And now if I think I'm right, you know, we'll have a conversation about it or something like that. But very rarely do I have someone correct me and get upset about it. Very rarely. You know, unless you say my wife's not beautiful, then I'll beat your ass. All right, just like we beat the shit out of the Valandians here, and I'm going to go ahead and call this the optimal Imperial Army. Empirically, right? Your opinion is null and void. This is officially... This is my opinion that this is the best mix of Imperials, right? And again, we're talking tier 3, 4, 5. You know, some guys are like, wow, all Sergeant Crossbow and they cataphragm. No, I'm saying like a realistic army you would have would be 20% infantry, 20% cavalry, heavy cavalry, 20% horse archers, although, you know, 15%, I'm fine with that, maybe, give or take, and then 40% archers. As far as the archer mix, I'll mix it in here at the end of the episode. You deserve it if you watched over an hour of this episode. I would say I would do 70% crossbow and 30% archers. Why have the Palatine Guards at all? Because of the ammo. The tier 5 Palatine Guard, Imperial Palatine Guard, does have a lot of ammo. That's very important in a long battle. Your Imperial Sergeant Crossbow kill amazingly early in a battle, but if you get into a long ranged battle, or say against a whole bunch of horse archers, you might be in trouble. So that's 70-30, I think is a fair ratio. All right, we're going to wrap this episode up. We might cover a couple other kingdoms. It depends on how popular this shit is. Please hit that like button on the way out if it's popular. And with all that said, friends, I will see you next time.